Okay, I don't remember if I taught you the Mickey Mouse rules, so I'm going to be a little bit long-winded here. My apologies. So if you look at the question, right, they're telling you that you have a triangle cat and angle A is 90 degrees. And they put that little right angle mark there, right? But then what they also said was we have an altitude AE. So when you have an altitude, basically what it's going to do in this kind of Mickey Mouse scenario, we're always going to start with a big triangle. Here's a big one. And there's going to be a right angle. And then coming out of that right angle, they're going to drop a line down. And do you see right here, it looks like we'll have two more right angles right here. That's what they mean when they say an altitude. Okay, when you have an altitude, you are forming right angles at the bottom. Okay, so the Mickey Mouse scenario, repeating myself again, is when the big triangle's a right triangle, and then you get these two little triangles on the left and the right, and they're also right triangles. That's the Mickey Mouse scenario. Okay, one big right triangle, two smaller ones, right triangle. Okay, so we are going to start with Mickey Mouse's ear. So he's got two of them, right? And they're big. So I am going to go like this. And you should be writing this down, especially if I didn't teach this to you. There's his left ear. Use your imagination. I know this is not his ear. Pretend like it's going under his neck. But here's his ear right here. Okay, so then what I want you to do, you're going to have room to the right of this picture. So I'm writing it underneath because I don't have the room. So I am going to write left ear. So here's the rule. Ready? Wherever the left ear starts, so your left ear starting right here on the line AC, what you're going to do is you're going to write that. Now just watch for a second. I'm going to do a blank proportion, and wherever the left ear starts, you're going to write it in two spots, but they must be diagonally across from each other. Okay? So if you're kind of like, what? Wherever the left ear starts, you write that side twice diagonally across from each other. Yes, I could have written it here and here. Okay? But I can't write it up down, because that's not diagonally across. Okay, so then what you do is after that, to fill in these other two blank spaces, we're going to take a little trip along his ear. So we're going away from AC. Now watch. As we round the corner, the first side that I underline, watch this, is CE. See that? CE. So CE goes in either one of these two leftover spots. I'm going to put it down here. You easily could have put it up here. It doesn't matter. Then remember how I said to kind of use your imagination with this underline? Okay, then, so again, the ear where it starts, diagonally across from each other twice. We round the corner and we underline CE first. Then what goes in this last spot is this entire bottom. That's why I said kind of use your imagination here. This is like his neck. And that would be CT. Okay, so CT goes in the other spot. Now, all of this will make sense when I start applying it to a question, but I can't have it make sense until I explain it to you. All right, so Mickey Mouse is not Van Gogh. He did not cut off his ear, so he's got two of them. So we're going to do his right ear now. Okay, so same deal. Here's his right ear, coming around the mountain, and like that. Okay? All right, so we're going to do the same deal, a blank proportion. Now his right ear, it's the same rule. Where does his right ear start? AT. Now you can either put AT here and here, or you can put it here and here. It doesn't matter as long as they're diagonally across from each other. I'm just going to keep it consistent so I don't mess you up. So I'm going to go here, AT and AT. And it's the same rule as the other side, so we're going to follow his right ear, round the corner, and look at what side we underline first. TE. So TE is going to go in one of these blank spots. It doesn't matter which one. And then, like the last one, see how we underline the whole thing? We underline that whole thing, and that's CT. Okay? CT. Now, here's we still have one more rule, but I want you to just take a look at this. Now, if you look at either of these proportions, you should look up here and see if any of them match, but they don't. So like, for example, I would look for where you've got the same. So like this doesn't say AC and AC. Neither does this. Neither does this. This one does, AC and AC. That's fine. So we just need to make sure it says CE and CT in the other two spots. Okay, and do you see it does not? It says CE, but it doesn't say CT. So this is not the answer. Okay, and the same thing over here. I would be looking for an answer choice that has a T diagonally across from each other twice, and I don't see that anywhere. Okay, so far we don't have an answer. Because Mickey Mouse, he's got two very big ears, but the other thing he has is a nose. Okay, so I will draw his nose in red. So here's his nose. So it kind of looks like one of those, cancer ribbons. Okay. All right, so use your imagination. Here's his nose. He's got a mustache, pretend, right? Here's his whiskers, and here are his buck teeth. Okay, silly, but I swear you'll remember it. Nose, whisker, whisker, buck teeth. Okay? All right, so how does this work? So the rule for the nose, and that's the last rule that we got, nose, is what's inside that ribbon, like I said, like a cancer ribbon, this right here, that's his nose, is side AE. That's where the loop is, on side AE. So that is what gets written diagonally across from each other twice. Okay, so in the other two scenarios, it's where the ear started. In this scenario, it's wherever the loop is of that nose. And then in the other two spots, it's where his whisker ends up. So his whisker here lands on CE, and his whisker here lands on ET. Okay, so I'm going to write that. So we've got one whisker is on, oops, let's try that again. Here we go. Is on CE, and the other whisker is on ET. Now, if you look carefully, you will see that that is answer choice 1. Okay, I understand that I don't have these in the same order as this, but remember, we need to see AE diagonally across from each other, which we do right here. Okay, doesn't matter if it's the other way. And then we need to see CE and ET diagonally across from each other, which we do right here. Okay, and that's the Mickey Mouse rule. All right, sorry for the long-windedness. Okay, so let's look at the next one here. So again, we kind of want to look and make sure that this is Mickey Mouse. Now, they were nice. They told us the right angle up here. Now, they only have one right angle there, but obviously if this is 90 degrees, that one's got to be 90 degrees as well, right? So if it makes you feel better, you can go like this. Now, so look at what they gave us. They gave us this side right here. So I'm thinking this might be the nose rule, but we don't have BD and we don't have DL. But look at what we do have. It says the length of DL is 4 times the length of BD. So they do give us something about them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start by going like this. Okay, so I know it's the nose rule. Now, let's read this bottom again. They said DL, that's this guy right here, is 4 times the length of BD. So this guy is 4 times as long as that one. Well, listen, I don't know either of them. So I know when I don't know something, I'm going to call it X. And DL is bigger, and it is 4 times bigger. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So now I'm going to apply that rule. So remember, what's in the nose gets written diagonally across from each other twice. Then I got one whisker, and I got the other whisker. And there I go. So now I'm going to cross multiply. So 4x times x will be 4x squared equals, and then 6 times 6 is 36. Then I'm going to divide out that 4. I'm going to get x squared equals 9. And just remember, if we want to get this thing to say x, I would take the square root of both sides, and then I would get x equals 3. Now, reread the question and make sure we answered the question. So it says, determine and state the length of BD. And if you look here, BD is x, and that is what they were asking for, okay? So this is BD, and there's our answer. Alrighty, so if we look at the next question, similar picture, I don't see any right angles down here, but if we do read, it says altitude TQ. So that means this is an altitude, which means we have right angles down here. So I'm going to plop those in there. This is looking like the nose rule again to me because I see this. But let's just keep reading. The ratio of SQ, that's this piece down here, to QR, that's this piece down here, is 1 to 4. This is like the last question for sure, except that they give you a ratio. Now, all that ratio, when you see a ratio like this, you can just say really that this piece is 1x and this piece is 4x. You just take the numbers, 1, and we put an x next to it, and then the number 4, and you put an x next to it, and that's how you deal with that. So I'm going to drop the 1 because, you know, you don't need to really write it, but this one we do. It's 4x. Okay. And again, if you want to write the 1, you knock yourself right out. Okay, and there's his nose and his whiskers and his buck teeth. Okay, so why don't you pause me and see if you can finish this one on your own. And there is your final answer. Okay, so very similar to the last question, but what you have to be just a little careful of here is it's asking you to state the length of SR, which is from here all the way down to the end here. So when you get x, that's great. If you got x equals 4, awesome. If that's 4, then what I did was I did 4 times 4, and I got 16. Okay, so then SR would be these two added together. So I added the 4 and the 16, and I got 20. Okay, look at this one. Pause me. Try it. See if at least you can find out if it's a nose or an ear rule and set up the proportion. And you can always turn me back on. All right, so there's the setup and the answer. So we're doing a left ear on this case, in this example. So remember, wherever the ear starts, we write diagonally across from each other. Then we round the corner, and the side that we pass by first, in this case, is AD, which I know is 2. And then it's the entire side that gets written in the other spot. Well, I don't know the entire side, so I just called it X, by the way. You could call it AB if you wanted to. So then I cross multiplied. I got 2x equals 36. Divided by 2, got 18. And that's helping me find my x value. But remember, my x value is the length of AB, which is what they're asking for. So there's your answer. Okay, so give this one a try, and then turn it back on and see how you did. But actually, before you do that, I do want you to look at this, and there are no right angles here anywhere. But if you do read, it says, oops, let me use my pointer instead. It says in the diagram below, right triangle MDL. So MDL is a right triangle. So that right angle is right up here. Okay, so I am going to draw it. And then if you keep reading, it says altitude DG. So this is an altitude, which means there are your right angles right there. Okay, so sometimes the picture won't show those right angles, and maybe you'll be like, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And it is a Mickey Mouse rule. It's just that you need to kind of read and maybe put those angles there. All right, so now pause me, see how you do. All righty, and there is your answer. Okay, so it's actually the nose this time that we don't know. And we just write that diagonally across from each other. Our 2 whiskers are 3 and 24. Now, we're not trying to find the square root of 72 because if you look at your answer, okay, your answer just has it as this. So we don't have to break this down or figure this out or anything like that. Okay, so we're all good.